First, I want to ask, just for fun, what is something that, is there anything that you've always wanted to like say in front of the camera?
Someone always wanted to say in front of live from New York. Yeah, my name is Tyler Messina. I'm the president, owner, operator of the Idaho Reptile Zoo. It's a reptile rescue and education center here in Boise, Idaho. This is Widow. Widow is a golden child reticulated python. Reticulated pythons generally have more of like a diamond-shaped pattern. She has special genetics that make her the golden child. So as she gets older, she'll just get a little bit darker, and she'll keep that crazy iridescence. And it'll basically just be like when she coils up, it'll look kind of like an oil spill. It's kind of crazy. But she's just a baby. She's only about 4 years old right now. She'll get to be close to 30 feet long when she's full grown. But yeah, we hold her all the time because when she does get to be that big, we still want to use her for education stuff. We're all about education through interaction. So if you can get really cool big snakes that are nice around people, it kind of changes that whole perception of them. I was a typical teenager. Thought no one understood me, no one knows what I'm going through, everyone goes through all that stuff. And I've always loved wildlife, and reptiles were probably the most misunderstood of all the animals. And it was a way for me to bring wildlife in without getting in trouble. I used to rescue possums that were hit by cars, and I rescued the babies and stuff. And I had a possum living in my closet for like 6 months. And then my parents found out and got really mad about it. But they never got mad about me rescuing like garter snakes and stuff like that. So I just kind of stuck with reptiles, and I got a job at a reptile zoo when I was 17 or 18, and it was just supposed to be like a summer job, and I kind of did it ever since. But working there, we had so many animals that would get brought in that didn't have homes that me and a friend of mine started a rescue down there that's still up and running, and it just kind of followed me up here. I didn't think Idaho wanted or needed a reptile rescue, and evidently I was wrong.
So you have a lot of animals here. Are there any that you have accepted gladly, or any that you have refused or wish you had accepted but couldn't at the time?
We don't say no to anything, no matter what the animal, whether it's reptile, bird. I've had a skunk here for a couple weeks. We don't say no to any kind of wildlife, so anything that needs a home, we're more than happy to work with other rescue groups to find it a home. The only animal here that we really, it's almost not worth the pain, is the turtles, all the water turtles up front. But that's just because they're an invasive species here in Idaho. So we're one of 3 places, I think, who can legally take them in, and we're the only one that I know of that doesn't either ship them off or euthanize them. This is our turtle pond. The ones with the red spots, those are the red-eared sliders. They're considered an invasive species here in Idaho. People buy them as babies, and they're about this big. Well, we have babies, so you can kind of see the little baby right there. They buy them from little like Asian markets and little pet stores and stuff, and they sell them in this little plastic aquarium, little plastic palm tree. And they say, just like with the big snakes, keep them that, they won't get very big. They still get to be this size, and somehow they eat all kinds and they poop twice as much, and no matter what filters you have, the water's still gonna get gross. They're still gonna be a pain to keep, so a lot of people just release them. And no matter where you are in the country, these guys can survive winters. They're highly adaptable, and they're basically eating our native turtles out of house and home. In Oregon, they actually were able to almost completely wipe out an entire pond species. So zoos had to get involved to actually do a lot of captive breeding work, and they were able to reintroduce them back out into the wild. So this is the painted turtle. This one was actually found as being chewed on by a dog. So that's why you can see all the bad shell around the edge. But they're called the painted turtle. She's not going to eat while I'm holding it. They're called the painted turtle because they're really pretty belly. They're really pretty plastering. So they use that. A lot of times bright colors is some sort of like indication of danger to ward off predators. So that could be why they have that. I couldn't really find anything significant as far as why they would have that really pretty shell, but that's why they're called the painted turtle. But you can see like the tooth marks of where he's getting chewed on. But again, that goes back to what we talked about with the tortoises. Their shell is just bone, so they could feel all that being chewed on, but because they don't have vocal cords or they don't show that kind of emotion like other animals, a lot of people just assume that they don't have that kind of feeling. We get negativity from the Karens of the neighborhood who don't think reptiles deserve any kind of rescuing. We just try and help out the community and just try and show that reptiles are just something, an animal, just like any other animal, dog or cat, that need the same kind of love and respect. I mean, I think the goal for any rescuer is to get enough education out there that they don't have to rescue anymore. But we're going to be here for a while, for at least another couple of years, and then go and buy some more land and open a full-on zoo, kind of live up to our reptile zoo name. And I want to specialize more so in crocodilians. So any extra crocodilian conservation work we can do. I love conservation, so the more we can get out and interact with the public, whether locally or even internationally, that'd be great.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything you want to in specific show us around?
Well, of course, the alligators.
All right.
Part of the reason why I agreed to move to Idaho from California was that there was very little reptile education up here. There's very little reptile anything up here. So I thought it was kind of like a missing, not niche, but like just a necessity that I think more wildlife education needs to be out there, just all over, more readily available. And so I agreed to move to Idaho thinking that alligators were legal to keep as pets. They're not legal, but we'll get one. And I actually got Douglas off of Craigslist of all places. So when I got her, I was super excited about it. I posted all over Facebook, and I think I had MySpace at the time. And Fish and Game was evidently watching me because I had talked to them about wanting to start this kind of place. And they happily came and took her away because they are illegal and I didn't have the permits at the time. So while she was gone, I busted my butt and got all the permits. And while she was gone, Gomer and Jack, two of our other alligators, were actually dropped off at my doorstep one day. So while we were working with them, we kind of showed Fish and Game that we were serious about education and what we wanted to do, and they were able to get us the permits in order to keep them. So once I got permits, I was able to get Douglas back. And you'll notice I kind of went back and forth with the he and she stuff. Her name is Douglas, but she is a girl. When we got her back from the previous, or her better home, quote unquote, they had said that they named her Al, so we figured they checked the sex and made sure it was a boy or a girl. Because they had a herpetology department, so we figured if there was ever a reliable source, that was it. And last year, she actually laid 20 viable eggs. So she's definitely a girl. But we still call her Douglas because we do a lot of training, name training, food commands, stuff like that. So she knows the name Douglas, so we don't want to mess with her more and confuse her with different commands. So we just kept the name for her. Because it's 2021 now, we don't judge anymore. But yeah, she is about, if I had to guess, I'd say she's around 12 to 13 years old. So she should be a whole lot bigger, but at that, again, quote unquote, better home, she was only fed a small chicken or rat once a week from what I was told. So she was severely stunted. She wasn't fed nearly enough. When she came back, you can completely see her spine, her ribs were all sunken in. She was a mess. She didn't want to eat for me for close to 6 months. I had to get her out and actually upset her so she would open her mouth, and I would actually throw mice in her mouth. Until one day she finally just swallowed one, and it was all kind of downhill from there. So with these guys, it's actually opened up all kinds of fun doors for us. We're part of a crocodilian training program. There's different keepers all over the country who kind of work together, work on different techniques and species and things like that. In 2022, so next year, we're actually potentially getting baby now crocodiles that we can raise here at our facility. And then once we get our land, we can move them outside and have full-grown crocodiles to work with. So we'll have an alligator, we'll have a caiman, and we'll have a crocodile. So now all we need is a gharial, and we'll have the whole stack. So this is a baby Sorcano tortoise, or African spurred tortoise. They're probably one of the most popular tortoise species as far as in the pet trade. They're pretty popular in the rescue as well, because this is a baby, and then this is almost an adult. So they actually get bigger than this. This is Tort. Tort is a almost 30-year-old Sorcano tortoise, and he weighs around 170 pounds. So he's only about, like I said, about 30 years old. These guys get to be over or close to 100 years old, and they grow their entire life. So he'll get to be easily over 200 pounds by the time he's full grown. And a really cool thing that surprisingly a lot of people don't know is that their shell lives with them the whole life. It's basically, is that a scary baby? That's just, I know, kids are scary, huh? So their shell is actually an extension of their backbone, like modified ribs. So they can actually feel everywhere you touch them. Because they have nerve endings all over their shell. So it's not like a hermit crab where they leave their shell and go find a new large shell. The shell just grows with them their whole life. It's just like bone. It's kind of like how bighorn sheep will ram their heads together. These guys will actually ram their shell together. It's Tortoise Fight Club. So like I said, these guys are super popular in the pet trade, but a lot of people don't know proper care for them. So if you see this guy, he has kind of a perfect shell. A little bit of pyramiding, not too bad. His is kind of flat. This guy, we jokingly call him the Franken Tortoise, because he's all kind of misshaped. You can see his backbone's all wavy. He's got the extra scutes that come out. These points and the bottom points should line up. His are curved to the side. So he didn't get proper lighting, proper diet. The only thing really proper he got was love. They just looked up a lot of wrong information on how to keep him. Because picking him up was one of probably the most emotional rescues we've done, as far as like from the family, because they were very heartbroken about him having to go somewhere else to live. But as you can see, I know, jealous, he's getting attention. Leave it alone. You two. Huh. But as you can see, he definitely needed something different. Alright, so we also have two different kinds of snapping turtles here at the zoo. The one I have is the common snapping turtle. These guys are actually another invasive species here in Idaho. I know, yes you are. So a lot of people don't know necessarily, or there's no real defining information on how they even got here, because they're primarily found on the East Coast. Some people think they were brought over as a food source during the gold rush, where they would like fall off wagons or that kind of thing. And then there's the alligator snapping turtle that live primarily on the East Coast. They get the name alligator snapper because they have a lot more powerful of a bite, a much more powerful bite. These guys bite close to 1,000 pounds of pressure when they're full grown. Where this guy, he only bites a measly 500 pounds of pressure. So, but yeah, if you look really close inside the alligator snapper, you can see that little pink tongue right there. So they'll hide underwater and they'll open their mouth and they'll wiggle that pink tongue. So they'll wiggle that pink tongue and they'll wait for fish to come in. The fish will try and grab that little worm that they're kind of trying to fake out, use it as a worm, and they'll snap down and eat the fish. And they have a little extra point on their beak, and they actually will puncture and grab onto the fish. Yeah, it's crazy because when these guys it's just like with the Sorcano. When they're born, they're the size of a ping pong ball. So it's crazy to think how much bigger they get their whole life. Now I have to hold them back here because if I hold them like a normal turtle, they can actually whip around and actually bite me. Bruce, this isn't, stop licking your lips, bro.
Oh my god.
Don't eat the dog.
Of course I get her butt.
I remember my first rescue. My dad got me a corn snake when I was 13. And we got it from a friend of his that was keeping it. It was a 5-foot corn snake. It was living in a little like hexagon fish tank. So it had no like ground space to climb in. It was really dirty. There was poop everywhere. And then from that moment on, it just kind of seemed like that's when I first got the whole like reptiles are so misunderstood kind of thing. And then when I went to the Reptile Zoo in California, where I ended up working, the very first day I was there, they threw a big 12-foot Burmese python on me. And they just let me hold it and they walked away like I had been doing it forever. And it was just a very natural feeling. And it's always, with dealing with any new animal, it's been a real natural kind of fluid feeling. So yeah, it's one of those weird things that when you do something that you love, you kind of actually feel like you're supposed to be doing it. It's one of those kind of things. Wanda is the same kind of snake as Widow, the first one we had out. She's just more the typical what you'd find in the wild, the normal reticulated python. So even though these guys get to be 30 feet long, they still climb trees like it's nothing. They've actually been seen chasing monkeys in trees. They've chased down, I've seen them chase down people.
I'm not gonna win.
They can be pretty formal predators for sure. Why are you guys letting go of her?
I'm not. She's just very strong.
She just wants you.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But it's crazy to think that she'll get to be twice this size.
No.
Her mom was actually the longest snake in captivity for a long time. Her mom was 28.5 feet long, almost 29 feet long. I've done the birthdays and the rescue and all that pretty much by myself. I had volunteers along the way who helped out, but for the most part it's been myself and whatever poor girlfriend I got involved. Ex-wife or whatever else, yeah. And then now my daughter's old enough, she helps out a lot. But yeah, now we actually have a great staff of 20 volunteers that are here every day, and so now I have all kinds of help to make sure all the animals are taken care of, so I have to do all the boring office work now. Yeah.
Even with like Wanda and stuff, you just do that alone?
Yeah, not supposed to, but yeah. The rule of thumb is you're supposed to have a person for every 6 feet. I didn't have that luxury, so. And all these animals are all rescues, so I didn't like search them out to, I want this snake or this lizard, and I want to add to my collection, and nope, they all just kind of showed up and needed a place to go, so we gave them a place to go.
Do you have a favorite?
Beast.
Beast?
Beast is our tegu, yeah. I actually got Beast 2 weeks before moving to Idaho. When I got him, he was probably from about his nose to about right here. He was a little baby. He still had a green head. Tegus, when they're babies, they have a little, like a neon green shield right there because they hang out in the moss and all the greenery in the rainforest. But yeah, he's the best. He's super used to people. He's trained to stay on his little table. We do like pet expos and kids fairs and stuff, and people just pet him all day, and he just sits there and takes it. He has his own Facebook page. We did that because some people were sharing like selfies with him. They had nowhere to actually post them, so we made him a little Facebook page. But yeah, I've had him for 12 years now, so he's like almost 14 years old now. So an average lifespan for these guys is 15. So yeah. So as much as I want to retire him, I just haven't. It's just weird because we have another tegu named Daisy who's kind of taken over his spot, and it still feels so weird to not take him with me after doing it for so long. But so we gave him a little spot here in the front, so even people who don't pay to come into the zoo, they can still see Beast because he's worth the trip down anyways. But at birthday parties, he'll use that big old tongue and give like the birthday kid birthday kisses. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Homeblood. Yeah, one of the first events we did with him just sitting on the table, he got pet so much and there was so much hand sanitizer, it actually burnt his back. Mm-hmm. So after that, he got like a whole wardrobe of shirts and medicines. Yeah. But yeah, he's known like at Petco. People ask about him. People will message us asking how he's doing just because they haven't seen him in a while. So yeah, he's not just a favorite. He's like a pampered pet around here. Huh. Yeah. Yeah. So the Reptile Zoo, we're waiting on an official opening date. We're waiting on just getting our occupational permit. As soon as we get that little piece of paper, we're going to be letting everyone know when we're opening. As soon as we get that paper, we are open. We only have too much more to do besides clean. When we are open, it will be, I think we finalized at $9 for adults, $6 for kids. Kids under 3 are free. And first responders and seniors are also at that kid's price, the $6. So, and all that includes feeding the turtles, petting the animals, getting in with the tortoises, the whole deal. So it's all included in that one admission price. So we have a full gift shop. We have feeders. We're gonna sell feeder rodents along with the bugs. So it's gonna be a full-on reptile one-stop shop. 10531 West Overland Road on the corner of 5 Mile and Overland in the Country Square Shopping Center. So we hope to see everyone then.